Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and in this video, I'm going to be covering some important Bitcoin charts, Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and the stock market today. And usually I'll spread all of this information into two separate videos, usually one Bitcoin video and one Ethereum video every day. But considering not that much has happened since yesterday, I can squeeze it all into one video rather than waste your time with two separate videos. So like I said, I'll be covering all of this important information later in this video. Definitely stick around. First of all, starting off the video on the daily Bitcoin chart, and you can see that we still have this bullish divergence, which is active on the chart. It is still in play. And in case you are new to this channel, this just means we're seeing reduced bearish momentum. And obviously we've been experiencing that over the past 1 week, because during this time, we've pretty much just seen choppy sideways price action after that crash down towards 25K. And considering the fact that we also have another active bullish divergence on the 2-day Bitcoin chart, and this is also visible on the daily time frame as well. Unfortunately, I'm still expecting mostly sideways choppy price action in the shorter term, talking about the next few days or so, potentially the next 1 to 2 weeks, which can be a bit of a boring time in the market, especially if you're a hodler. But if you're a trader, we can potentially develop some sort of sideways price range. And if that's the case, where we're trading between support and resistance during this time period, that was a perfect trading opportunity where you could short Bitcoin at resistance and long Bitcoin at support, for example. But if you're a complete beginner to Bitcoin, I do not recommend trading short-term fluctuations in the Bitcoin price, because that can be risky if you don't know what you're doing. And speaking about shorter term Bitcoin price movements, just quickly heading over to the 6-hour Bitcoin chart to let you know that this symmetrical triangle pattern has now been invalidated, because we've seen a couple candle closes just above this point of resistance. And now we've seen a few candle closes below this previous line of support, which has essentially invalidated this pattern with a fake out, which goes back to what I was just saying about how I'm mostly expecting sideways choppy price action in the shorter term. And once again, that's pretty much exactly what we are seeing. And as for short-term resistance and support, we do have some strong resistance at around 30.7K and some strong support at around 28.6K approximately. So these are just the immediate points of support and resistance that I am paying attention to in the shorter term once again. And if you zoom out to the 3-day Bitcoin chart, this closely aligns with this range of support, which is coming in at around 28,500 up towards 30,000 based on these previous levels of support that we found last year. And so it's very important for the Bitcoin price to maintain above that range of support, going down to once again around 28,500. But if the Bitcoin price confirms a break below around 28,000, then it's very likely we could revisit that 25K low. And if that's the case, obviously we'll be entering into this accumulation range on the weekly Bitcoin chart, which is set by the 1,000-day moving average coming in at just above 28,000 and the 200-week moving average, which is coming in at just above 22,000. And historically, this closely aligns with the weekly Bitcoin RSI as well, because usually when the Bitcoin price enters between these moving averages and gives us an amazing buying opportunity, we also see the weekly Bitcoin RSI enter into oversold territories, which is an extremely rare signal. And in fact, we didn't actually make it down there during that March 2020 crash because of how quick that crash happened. So the weekly Bitcoin RSI entering into oversold territories is a signal that I'm still waiting for, that we haven't seen just yet. So technically speaking, there's still some room to the downside based on the RSI, but like we saw in early 2020, we don't necessarily have to make it all the way down to oversold territories in order to officially bottom out, which is why I'm not trying to time the exact bottom, and instead I'm dollar cost averaging heavier at different levels. Basically, at the current prices at the time of recording this video at around 29K, for example, I'm still slowly dollar cost averaging, but I'm going heavier into Bitcoin if we drop into this price range just here in between 28K and 22K. And if you've been keeping up to date with these videos over the past couple of weeks, you'll know that I accumulated a bunch more Bitcoin down at around 25K, because that was right in the middle of this buy zone that I've been talking about for a while now on the channel. Now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the Ethereum to US dollar chart on the daily time frame, and obviously we still have this active bullish divergence on the chart, which basically means the same thing as what I said about the bullish divergence on the Bitcoin chart just earlier in the video. Once again, I'm still mostly expecting sideways choppy price action for Ethereum as well in the shorter term. And so this could also be one of the reasons why we've seen the same symmetrical triangle pattern for Ethereum on the 6-hour chart get invalidated, because initially the price of Ethereum made an attempt of breaking out to the upside, then we came back down for a retest and closed the candle actually back below this upward trending line of support. And now we've seen a few 6-hour candle closes below this line of support, which has essentially invalidated this pattern right here, because we have no clear breakout. But if you're looking at the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart on the 3-day time frame, right now this is actually not really good, because what we have seen over the past 1 day is an attempt at breaking back above this previous ascending line of support. And so far we now have one small rejection from this line of support, which is now acting as new resistance. And the current 3-day candle closes in around 3 hours from now. And if this candle closes in the red, that would basically confirm this rejection, which would technically be a bearish signal for Ethereum versus Bitcoin on the larger timeframes. But as I've been mentioning in my recent Ethereum update videos, I'm still keeping a close eye on this previous low, which is coming in at around 0.064 Bitcoin per Ethereum, because obviously until we break below that previous low, technically we're still in a higher low structure, which is technically a bullish structure, but we already have one significant lower high, and breaking below that previous low would officially form a new lower low. So that would obviously put Ethereum in an official downtrend on the 3-day Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. And in that potential bearish scenario, if we do break below that previous low, then my personal strategy would be to move some of my Ethereum holdings into Bitcoin for the time being, while Ethereum potentially underperforms against Bitcoin. But as of right now, at the time of recording this video, I have not made any significant decisions around Ethereum versus Bitcoin, at least just yet. And if you zoom into the daily time frame, technically this bullish divergence is still active on the chart, which is something that could save Ethereum versus Bitcoin, at least in the shorter term. And considering where the price is sitting at right now on the daily time frame and where the RSI is currently sitting at on the daily time frame, it's quite possible if we make a slight lower low with the next daily candle close, we could actually form a double bullish divergence, simply another lower low while we form another higher low in the daily RSI for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So this is also a signal that I am still paying attention to for the somewhat shorter term for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And speaking about bullish divergences, taking a look at the Nasdaq 100 index on the 4-hour time frame, and yes, we still have that bullish divergence that I talked about yesterday, which is one of the reasons why over the past one day we've held up relatively well in the stock market, because this bullish divergence simply means we're due to see reduced bearish momentum, at least in the shorter term, because remember, it's only on the 4-hour time frame. But if you zoom all the way out to the weekly time frame for the Nasdaq 100 index, looking at the weekly RSI, we are currently oversold. And this is actually an extremely rare signal for the stock market, because the last time that the RSI on the weekly time frame for the Nasdaq 100 index came anywhere near these values, that was basically at the bottom of the March 2020 crash, which was a very severe crash in the stock market. And the time before that was at the end of the 2018 bear market for the stock market, which also marked the bottom for the 2018 bear markets for Bitcoin as well at that same time period. But if you zoom even further out on the weekly time frame for the Nasdaq 100 index, you can see that during the last significant recession back in 2008 entering into 2009, we saw the weekly RSI plunge well into oversold territories, and right now we're not that low just yet, but keep in mind that was a very severe recession. But that's a story for another video, because there is a lot more that goes into that, like the Fed, for example. And if you want to know more about the US dollar currency index, which is getting a strong rejection from this massive range of resistance, then definitely check out my last Bitcoin update video that I posted yesterday on the channel, because the last 2 times where we saw a strong rejection in the US dollar currency index from this range of resistance, that actually resulted in a bullish market reversal in both of these previous examples. And if you want to maximize your profits in crypto, whether or not prices are going up, down, or sideways, check out these videos popping up right here on your screen, because both of these videos reveal how you can keep making money in crypto, whether or not prices are going up, down, or sideways once again. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.